train.
Welcome aboard. Glad you're there. I'm Roger Hedgecock. We're live today, back from the vacation, back from the, a couple of days off anyway. Today, I've got the latest on the Israeli attack on the relief ship. We'll have a special guest on that one. All right, now to the big news over the weekend, and certainly it has become a huge international uproar. The attack of Israel Navy commandos on a flotilla, small group of vessels from Turkey who were attempting to run the blockade. That Israel has put up around Gaza. Now, I don't know whether some facts on this have been clear to people or not. The blockade was put into effect because back in early part of 2009, the Iranians were rearming Hamas in Gaza. I better go back even a step before that. You remember when the Israelis were urged by everyone to give up land in return for peace? The thought was that if the Israelis only could give up the conquered territories, allow the Palestinians the beginnings of their own country, that this would produce a basis for peace. The Israelis gave up occupied areas in southern Lebanon. The Israelis gave up Gaza, this portion in southern Israel there, in the southern Israel territory, on the beach with the Mediterranean. And their theory was, look, this worked before. We gave up the Sinai Peninsula after the 1967 war to Egypt in return for a peace which has lasted all this time. We are at peace with Egypt. Not a problem. Egypt's gone its way. We've gone our way. Cool. Maybe this will work with our immediate neighbors. It has not worked. Lebanon is a client state of the Syrians, who in turn are in arm linkage with the Iranians. Hamas is funded and financed and armed by the Iranians. Hezbollah is financed and armed by the Iranians. The Iranians are making a move for hegemony in this area of the world, and maybe beyond, who knows. In their belief of apocalyptic belief that the end times for them have come and that the Mahdi, or whoever is, the 12th Imam, is going to make his return. So in that context, since Land for Peace did not work, the old Palestine Liberation Authority was kicked out of, in a very brutal war, by the way, between these two Palestinian groups. The Palestine Liberation Army was kicked out, PLO was kicked out, the Palestinian Authority, from Gaza. And the Gaza people were taken over by Hamas, an organized thuggery of violent extremists who, it is hard for them to deny they're violent extremists and thugs because they brag about it in their charter. You can go read it. It's on their website. They brag about their whole determination is to kill every Jew and exterminate Israel. I mean, based on that, I don't know what the basis is for negotiation. It's kind of beyond me. But when you have a rabid dog determined to bite you and kill you, I think a 45 slug is about the only basis of, any common ground. Now, in light of that, Israel puts up this blockade. Now, you'll recall Abraham Lincoln blockaded the South during the Civil War. There have been blockades all over the place, but we blockade Cuba during the Kennedy administration. Under international law, if you are threatened, you're in a war with some other power, you're threatened by some other power, you are entitled to, if you can do it, if you can physically do it, a blockade is a legal way to handle keeping that from you. Now, what are you trying to keep from you? Gaza is full of very poor people. Hamas has made it worse. Well, you don't want, if you live next to Gaza in an part of Israel, in an Israeli village, you don't want rockets raining down on you by the hundreds, sometimes by the thousands, which was the case before Israel went into Gaza, got after the Hamas thugs, got after the rockets, and calmed that situation down by having the army go in there and take over. Then Israel withdrew. They said, okay, we don't want to be an occupying force, land for peace, have it back, but we're going to put this blockade because all this humanitarian aid can come in. And by the way, the boats that were stopped so famously, and the deaths, and after all that, all the boats were searched, other than some personal weapons they found and so forth. The aid seems to be all humanitarian aid. It has been loaded onto trucks. The Israelis are taking the aid down to Gaza, so the people in Gaza will get the aid. All they wanted to do, the Israelis, is keep another arms shipment from getting in and rearming the Hamas thugs. So now, of course, Israel is the subject of committed an act of piracy against international law. It was murder by the soldiers. Egypt has now opened up its border, which had been closed with Gaza. They're as afraid of the Palestinian Hamas folks as anybody should be. Netanyahu was in Canada, canceled his meeting with Obama, flew back, and is now meeting, according to video I just saw, with the wounded soldiers, of which there are a number, and with the families of those soldiers. So the question really here for us is, so what? Well, you know that I've predicted, and I want to be wrong on this one, a war in the Middle East because of these gathering clouds. I will tell you that I believe that Obama has made matters worse with a foreign policy of weakness, of bowing. The only thing that is respected in the Middle East is force. Now, it's probably true around the world, but in the Middle East, I find it to be even more true. What we did to Saddam Hussein made us feared. We therefore got our way. Now, a new president comes along saying, oh, that was all wrong, and we reject it and we apologize for it, and everybody goes, really? You killed all those people, you got everybody killed, you spent $1 trillion, and now you want to throw away the political advantage you have by saying, no, we're not those kind of people anymore, we're not going to threaten anyone, we're not using our military, we're bowing and scraping and apologizing because of all the bad things America's done. Boom. Our credibility's gone, the fear is gone, the deterrence is gone, war is coming. Will it be triggered by this event? And what really went on? And what do you think about it at 877-84-ROGER after this?